Welcome to the Capital News. I am your host, Alex Karitis. Today is November 15th, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me. Title of today's podcast is Impeachment Hearings Day II. Recall yesterday's podcast was titled, Who to Believe and What to Believe, really. It was who to believe, but what to believe. I mean, it's sort of both, right? And I said at the beginning, what might Alex be talking about? Is it President Trump against the Democrats? Is it the Republicans against the Democrats? Is it Donald Trump versus President Xi in the Congress versus the Chinese Communist Party? Is it the Federal Reserve and the ECB? Is it Fox News against CNN? Fox News against MSNBC? The Wall Street Journal against the Washington Post, etc., etc. You didn't know who I was going to talk about, right? That's the problem. Who to believe? Anybody. Corporations, banks, Amazon, Google. Can you trust them with our data? Facebook. Who to believe? Well, today it's just another continuation of that. Because, again, Impeachment Hearings Day II. Today, Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch, the former ambassador to Ukraine, testified before the House Intelligence Committee, who is operating this impeachment inquiry. And another legitimate question that I do have is this whole thing a distraction? And I don't mean this from a Republican talking point, as to say this is a sham and a scam against Donald Trump. But is this a distraction, an overall distraction from what's really taking place? And of course, I said, I think it might have been yesterday and the day before, we talk about the Federal Reserve here all the time and in the economics that are taking place, not just here in the United States, but globally. Is this a distraction from the realities of the domestic and the global economy? Is it a distraction from what the Federal Reserve is doing? Pretty much in tandem with what President Donald Trump is also doing, because they're in lockstep with each other, except the Federal Reserve has yet to go into negative interest rate territory. But we're close. We're very, very close. I mean, at the rate at which the Federal Reserve has been cutting rates at 25 basis points, I mean, we could be at zero again in 6 months. Now, of course, there is no law that says that they have to cut interest rates, period, but there's no law that says if they cut them, that they have to cut them in a step-like pattern at 25 basis points a clip. Nope, they can cut them by 1% if they want to. They could cut them to make them negative next time if they wanted to. So that's the only thing. They're lockstep, folks. Donald Trump's playing a game here with the Federal Reserve. Again, just looking to lay blame at somebody else's feet. If and when this economy, it's just too evident that we are in recession, or that the stock market corrects sizably or maybe collapses. And again, I'm not ruling out the possibility of a melt-up. And we're going to talk about some of the market news before we get into the impeachment stuff. But is this whole thing just a charade? Is it just a big case of smoke and mirrors to deflect and distract everybody from the underlying further deterioration in the economic data that we see globally and domestically? Is it a distraction from all of the global protests and riots that are taking place? From Hong Kong to Bolivia, Haiti, Egypt, Iraq, Lebanon, Chile, everywhere basically. And I'm telling you, this is not transitory. This is history in the making. Is it just a distraction from reality? So we're going to go down to Washington, D.C. We're going to watch the circus. Although I do think there is some important things that have come out of that, and we're going to get to that. But since these markets just continue to go up, I mean, there's nothing that's putting them down at all. We're going to talk about it because I have not discussed some of those numbers here. So let's get straight to that. The S&P was up 0.8%, closing at 3,120 points, an all-time high. Dow up 0.8%, closing at 28,005 points, an all-time high. NASDAQ up 0.7% at 8,540. Russell 2000 up 0.5% at 1,596 points. Dow Jones Transports was up slightly, but let's call it flat for the day. The New York Stock Exchange was up 0.75%. Well, clearly everything's fine. There's going to be a trade deal. Remember the short strokes from Larry Kudlow yesterday. We're in the final strokes, the final short strokes, whatever the hell that means. But yes, man, Larry Kudlow came out to do the bidding for Donald Trump. There's going to be a trade deal. So evidently everything's okay. Oil's got to go up on this news. Plus OPEC continues to come out and saying, well, we got lesser demand, but worry not, we're going to cut supply. And with the trade deal, that's like a double whammy, so prices had to go up. So we have oil WTI trading at $57.95. Meanwhile, we have Brent, the international metric, at $63.40 a barrel. Gold and silver have lost some of their luster, but we have gold trading at $1,466 an ounce. Silver is at $16.87. I still believe I have not been shaken from my position that these precious metals are in a bull market, and they will continue. Nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down. You have to at least have some of this, and I would suggest the physical bullion of it, coins, bars, something, not just ETFs and the GLD and SLV. Of course, you can get into that if you want to, but have the physical and have some of the mining stocks as well would be my suggestion, but do your own homework and research. Be diversified, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to get negative rates in this country. We're likely to. We know we got quantitative easing. We're in the midst of it. You have to be diversified because it just appears globally they're trying to destroy all of these currencies. And gold and silver has never been worth nothing. So at least, in the very least, you can sort of maintain what you have, at least to some degree. U.S. 10-year Treasury note yielding up, so it's been selling in the bond market a little bit. We are now yielding at 1.83%. 1.83% on the U.S. 10-year Treasury. Again, leaving the safe haven assets, apparently, to go into the stock market because it's all clear, folks. Everything is A-OK. It's the greatest economy ever. Of course, it isn't. Actually had a friend of mine text me and another buddy to get under my skin, just to josh me a little bit, which is fine. That's what we do. But just texted, all-time highs, basically. It's here. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? Here was my response, basically. 3 interest rate cuts, $60 billion of quantitative easing, although we're not supposed to call it quantitative easing, per month, at least until first, second quarter of next year. Of course, it's going to get larger and it'll go further than that. An increase in the Fed's balance sheet by $300 billion in 2.5 months. $120 billion for overnight purposes, which has been taking place nightly, by the way, for 2 months already, if you can believe it. $45 billion that is lent out for a term, for a duration of about 30 to 40 days. That's taking place daily. The European Central Bank is printing 20 billion euros a month and has gone deeper into negative rates. And excuse my language, but this is what I said in the tweet. And we have bullshit trade deals that are being discussed. So, of course, we have a market at all-time highs. Of course we do. It's all funny money and it's all hot air. It's all lies and BS. Now, you might be okay with that because you say, well, my 401k's up, this is up, that's up, everything's okay. You don't care. I'm not that type of person. I would rather my 401k be up because these companies are innovating, they're growing revenues, they're growing earnings. They're not growing earnings. It's financial engineering. It's funny money. That money has to go somewhere. We got so many dollars and euros all over the place and yen. And yet there's still a liquidity problem. So solve that one. So these idiots can't solve it. Of course, I'm talking primarily about the central bankers. They can't solve it. They can't figure it out. They're glossing over everything on an overnight basis, trying to confuse everybody with these technical terms and jargon. Overnight, repo, this, that, and the other. It's a con job, is what it is. And now, again, top of this podcast, is this a distraction with the impeachment inquiry and all of these other circuses? Because what did I tell you and what have I been saying? Revolutions are fought on empty stomachs. These people are upset around the world for a whole host of reasons. Okay? They are dealing with terrible negative impacts and the effects of inflation. Just a matter of time until it comes here. And that's what I've been telling you. That's why you got to stay diversified and you got to stay vigilant with all of this stuff. I mean, this is your earnings, and you got Thunder Thumbs, Economic Club in New York City, calling it out. Let's go to negative interest rates, baby. I want that money. Give me that money. Those are quotes, by the way, from Donald Trump. You understand what negative interest rates are? You're going to steal your savings. It's not enough that they tax you to death. It's not enough that you got enough regulations. It's not enough that the Federal Reserve steals your purchasing power as it is. No. Thunder Thumb's got to come in. I want that money. Give me that money. Did you vote for this? I didn't. And shame on you if you're going to get sidestepped by the political circus that's going on in Washington, D.C. and everything else. I told you, do not swipe at the branches, strike at the root. Stay focused. And we are going to continue to talk about the impeachment hearings because that has to do with the health of our republic, which is also what this podcast is about. Distraction or not, it's real. It exists. It's going on. And it goes to the underlying soul and the health of our republic, which is in dire straits. And it has been for quite a while. VIX, the volatility index, is down about 7.5-8% today, is now trading at $12.05. So the Federal Reserve continues to keep volatility down. We have record short positions in the VIX. Not me. We, as in society. This is the markets. Record shorts in the VIX. I mean, if this thing unwinds, that could do a lot of damage very quickly. Believe me when I tell you. And like I said, I think it might even have been just yesterday or the other day, my volatility model for the past couple of weeks has just been shot. I mean, I admit when it's right, I admit when it's wrong, and it has been shot. And there is no question about it that this is on the back of the Federal Reserve and other central banks lowering interest rates and increasing liquidity around the world. That's all it is. It's that simple. It's that simple. How much longer can this go? I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I still believe diminishing marginal returns has kicked in, but it looks like there's still a little bit of gas left in the tank. But I really think this is we're coming down to the swan song here, and it ain't going to be pretty because the higher this thing goes, the worse it's going to collapse. Believe me when I tell you. So much for the greatest economy ever. We have a couple of the district banks of the Federal Reserve, I believe the New York Fed and the Atlanta Fed, with their GDP forecasts. Both are below 1% for the fourth quarter. Both are below 1% for the fourth quarter. Just last week they were at 1%. Right around it now, they're about 0.4% and 0.3%. How the hell is this the greatest economy ever if we're going to have a fourth quarter GDP print of 0.4 and 0.3? This is from the Federal Reserve, mind you. I mean, solve that one. And again, talking about the Cass Freight Index that looks at freight as a leading economic indicator, which is why I talk about the Dow Jones transports if we go through the market noise, and why I bring up the Cass Freight Index, because that's what they look at. It's simple, just like our volatility model. Does it always hold water? No, but more times than not, it does. And they continue to say in their report, negative GDP print for the fourth quarter, and no signs of abating globally, across most modes of transportation. Doesn't matter what it is. So GDP from the Federal Reserve forecasting sub 1%. Yet we have a stock market that's making all-time highs. Solve that riddle. Well, we kind of did with all of the funny business that's going on. We also have delinquencies rising across the auto market, particularly in the subprime sector. We also have delinquencies rising on the credit cards, again, in the subprime primarily. And those are right now more or less focused in on the smaller cap banks, the smaller banks. And if you understand the Russell 2000, a significant portion of those stocks are in the financial sector. They are the smaller banks. So that is not going to bode well for the Russell 2000 if this trend increasing in delinquencies continues, despite how much money might be thrown at the problem by the Federal Reserve. We also have retail sales that came out today. 0.3%. The market was anticipating 0.2%. So a slight beat on the retail sales. However, if you take out autos, it was worse than anticipated. So sort of a mixed bag, but not very good, not very healthy as we enter the holiday season. We also have industrial production pretty much falling off a cliff, but no mention of that by Donald Trump, conveniently. Just that the stock market continues to make all-time highs, of course, because the Federal Reserve and other central banks are printing money like it's going out of style, because it is going out of style. That's why you better be diversified. So now to the circus that is Washington, D.C. We had Ambassador Yovanovitch. She was the ambassador of Ukraine before Donald Trump had her removed. Somewhat of a sad display today in her testimony. I thought her performance was good. I found this woman to be credible. She was even praised and thanked for her 33 years of service within the federal government by both Democrats and Republicans. And if you can believe it, you should not be surprised. But during her testimony, President Donald Trump, Thunder Thumbs, was tweeting about her and basically going after her character and her quote-unquote results as an ambassador, pretty much saying that she was responsible for a time for Somalia, and look how that turned out. So this is an asinine comment. This is beneath the office of the presidency, but it's not beneath Donald Trump, so that's why we have it. This is a shame. But he attacked this woman, despite the fact that his own party, who's doing their best to defend the man, they pretty much would have had to have switched strategy, because this was known. I mean, Adam Schiff brought this up, and I think Adam Schiff is a sleazebag, okay? But he brought this up because he has the staff sitting behind him on their cell phones, just watching Donald Trump's Twitter feed. I mean, that statement in and of itself is dangerous for the republic of this country. Yesterday, or the other day, during the first round of hearings, Donald Trump was hosting President Erdogan of Turkey, and he said, you know what, I'm not paying attention to this circus. I got better things to do, more important things to do than to pay attention to this. Today, must have been worth his time, because he was watching and he was tweeting. And he was doing it while this ambassador was testifying and saying, look what happened to Somalia. As if this woman is responsible for all of the corruption, fraud, abuse, terrorism, human rights violations that has taken place over years in Somalia. It's an asinine statement. I mean, why would he come out and say this? Does the man have zero control over himself? Why would he do this? Why would he do this? It makes absolutely no sense to me. And I don't know if the Republicans were going to come out and thank this woman for her service, but after this tweet was made known and very early on, they most all definitely did. They most all definitely did, thanking her for her service. So not discrediting her, not saying with Donald Trump's conspiracy theory that this woman was trouble, because remember, folks, this was the ambassador that was referenced not by name, but we knew it was her because we're talking about a she and the ambassador of Ukraine, so do the math. It's the ambassador Yovanovitch. This was the ambassador that both President Trump and President Zelensky were talking about on the July 25th phone call. That this woman's bad news, we don't like her, both sides said it, and she is going to go through some things. Ambassador Yovanovitch is going to go through some things. And what we find out, that meant she was gone. That meant she was gone. Which by the time that phone call happened, she was already out of her position. She was done back in May. So Donald Trump wasn't done with her. Now you have to understand, both sides, Democrats and Republicans alike, again, thanking this woman for her service. Not going after her, not claiming that she is deep state like Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani and Rudy Giuliani's associates. Who are they? Lev and Igor. Thinking that this woman is trouble. Well, that's a good and interesting question, isn't it? Trouble? How? I mean, if you have Democrats and Republicans alike both saying that she's fine, thanking her for her 33 years of service. One Republican even went so far to read a list of the accommodations that she earned during her tenure within the State Department. What this woman was known for was for being a straight shooter, nonpartisan, and going after corruption. So now you have some interesting questions that need to be asked. Yes, this woman did not have direct contact and direct communication with Donald Trump. So again, she's going to fall into that bucket of not being a firsthand witness to all of this. But her testimony goes to the thought process and the intent of perhaps Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani and his associates, and perhaps Ambassador Sondland and maybe some other characters as well. But at least that inner circle of Sondland, Rudy Giuliani, Giuliani's associates, and Donald Trump. Because if the whole argument is going to be that Donald Trump was interested in rooting out corruption in Ukraine, then why would he remove an ambassador that is praised by his own party and acknowledged that she is good at going after corruption? Wouldn't you want an ambassador who is known for being a straight shooter, nonpartisan, and going after corruption to remain your ambassador? That's not what happened, though. He removed her. Because what we're learning is that Rudy Giuliani and his associates wanted her out of there. Wanted her out of there. And they convinced Donald Trump that she was trouble. And so Donald Trump said she's got to go, and that's exactly what happened. Even in her testimony, and this is agreed upon by everybody, including Ambassador Yovanovitch, the Democrats, and the Republicans. You got everybody on board with this, that Donald Trump, as the President of the United States, has the authority, it is within his power that is granted to him, to appoint ambassadors at the advice and consent of the Senate, of course, and to remove them for pretty much any reason he wants, with the exception of perhaps covering up a crime or doing something that he should not do. And as we learn more and more, it appears that his intent was perhaps somewhat in the vein of corruption. He's innocent until proven guilty. There's a lot left we have to go, but that is the way in which the testimony and the evidence thus far is pointing. Because if he wants to claim again that he is going after corruption, then why would you remove the ambassador who is known by both parties and by the State Department for going after corruption and being somebody who has served with integrity? Doesn't make any sense unless you have something else going on behind the scenes. Because again, the other day, we had a question from the Republicans. Did the aid and the assistance go to Ukraine in 2017? Yes. Did it go in 2018? Yes. Did it go in 2019? Yes, it did. But there was a hiccup in 2019, and it ended up getting released with a timeline where you have a whistleblower that comes out, and now, are we caught with our hand in the cookie jar? Do we have to get rid of this thing? Let's give the aid out. Why? Because Joe Biden is a political opponent of Donald Trump in 2019. He wasn't in 2017 or 2018, but guess what, folks? In 2017 and 2018, Ukraine corruption was still a problem. Okay? Burisma was still a company. Joe Biden was still around. Hunter Biden was still around. Why no problem then? Marie Yovanovitch was the ambassador then. Why wasn't she removed then? Conveniently, she is removed, and they go looking for dirt on Joe Biden in the year that Joe Biden is running for president? Is that a coincidence? You know, you're told in a court case that you're supposed to use your common sense. So you don't check your common sense out just to agree with somebody you voted for or somebody you like. It's not how it works. You can't throw your common sense out the window because you believe in conspiracy theories or this, that, or the other. You can't do it. You can't do it. And that's the problem that I've been harking on here for a while. If you're not going to look at this thing objectively, then you're not a part of the solution. You are a part of the problem. Period. End of story. And I'm not saying the Democrats are clean on this. We went after the Democrats earlier this year with the Obama administration and the Clinton administration, the Clinton campaign going after Donald Trump and his campaign and all that stuff, and how shady all of that looked. And again, what were we using to fill the dots, to fill the gaps, connect the dots? Common sense. So don't throw it out the window now just because you're on the other side of the ledger and you voted for Trump or you like Trump or this, that, or the other. Look at this thing objectively, because the other thing in that vein, that Donald Trump can remove this woman or any other ambassador that he wants, he could have done so. All he would have had to have done, and he wouldn't even have to have done it. We call up Ambassador Yovanovitch. Madam Ambassador, thank you very much for your years of service. I hear nothing but good things from you, from Republicans and Democrats alike, from all of your colleagues within the State Department and Foreign Service. We appreciate your service, but I am going in a different direction with my administration when it comes to Ukraine. You are going to be brought back to the State Department, and then we'll figure out something from there. But you are being relieved of your duty. It's all we had to do. Case closed. This woman never would have been brought up, wouldn't have known about her. But Donald Trump couldn't do that, could he? No. This woman's bad news. She's got to go, and she's going to go through some things. And then he couldn't stop today when she's testifying. He had to attack her character again, which now is opening the door for Democrats to perhaps introduce now witness tampering and witness intimidation. Now, that might be a stretch too far, but hey, this is the three-ring circus. It ain't beyond them from doing that. And even the Republicans are like this, this is idiotic. I don't agree with this, that, and the other. What is this guy doing? Is he trying to self-destruct on purpose? Does he want impeached? Does he want a trial? Does he want to be forced to resign? What's going on here? Or is he just this uncontrollable, that it's self-destruction? Because he could have removed this ambassador just because he said, I want to. Just because he wants to. But he didn't do that. It had to be a big deal. He had to make comments about this ambassador to another head of state, which I think is beneath the office, because now this came out. This was never supposed to come out, at least as far as we know. This was never supposed to be known, but it is now. But he is talking poorly about people who are doing the work for this country, who are risking their lives. Ukraine, for all intents and purposes, is basically a war zone, or it could become one very quickly. These people go all over the world. Some of them are in very bad countries, but they are trying to do the work of this country for reasons of national security, for reasons of promoting trade and commerce, for reasons of rooting out corruption, for dealing with human rights violations. Now, nobody's perfect. Nobody has a perfect record. We got a lot of problems here. We understand this. But as the President of the United States, don't you think it's a bad thing to talk poorly about your team to another head of state? How much confidence and how big of a morale booster is that going to be for current members and anybody else who might be contemplating getting in? Now, of course, Donald Trump's not going to be there forever, but you understand the point. The other day I tried to give the president credit for being a cheerleader for this country, at least from an economic standpoint. But of course, that's for selfish reasons too. But here, he can't be a cheerleader for his State Department and Foreign Service. In fact, they're all deep staters and never Trumpers, which again, this ambassador was also asked the question, are you a never Trumper? Answer, no. Answer, no. So this all looks to me like Donald Trump, or at least some members of his inner circle on this, Rudy Giuliani, those two associates of Rudy's, and perhaps Ambassador Sondland. These are the inside men that are giving Donald Trump the inside scoop as to what's going on in Ukraine to get some sort of investigation going with the Bidens. And I'm starting to believe that he doesn't even care if there was an investigation that was actually taking place. I think he just wanted President Zelensky to make the statement, and that would have been enough. No, you don't really have to investigate them, but as long as you say that there's an investigation going on, and again, then he could jerk us all around for another year and a half to say, look, they're doing an investigation over there. Who knows when something's going to come out on the Bidens? That's his MO. So I don't even think he would care if there was a real investigation or not. Just let there be a statement. Now, if they went for an investigation, I'm sure he'd appreciate that too. But I think the statement would have been enough. Now, Zelensky didn't go through with the statement. Why not? Because he got the aid. If you got the aid, why would you go out and make the statement? So it's all very suspect. It's all very suspect. And I feel bad for the woman because her career, her reputation has basically been destroyed. And it's just not good. Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, really didn't go to bat for this woman to protect her because he knew what Donald Trump was doing, to at least to some extent. Didn't do anything. This woman is relieved of her duties at the end of May. She comes back from Kiev, Ukraine, being told by her superiors within the State Department, you're in danger. Your security is in danger. Get on the next flight out of Ukraine to Washington, D.C. She does so. She comes to Washington, D.C., and she's told, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong, but you're gone and you're done. And then she finds out about the phone call on July 25th that the president had some sort of vendetta against this woman, even though they'd never talked, doesn't know her. She's got to go because Rudy Giuliani and his associates said this woman's got to go. It's not looking good, which I've said for quite a while, and I always brought this back to Rudy Giuliani. And his associates, by the way, have been arrested by the FBI. And we have one of them, Lev Parnas, I believe is his name, is singing like a canary, or he wants to sing like a canary and wants to cooperate with investigators. That's not going to be too good. I mean, Donald Trump's already is going to say he doesn't know this guy either, just like he said he doesn't know Ambassador Gordon Sondland of the European Union. Of course, Gordon Sondland is a political appointee, a political ambassador who gave $1 million to Donald Trump's inaugural committee, and then he was rewarded with the ambassadorship for the European Union. Again, the European Union and Ukraine, maybe Ukraine wants to be a member of the European Union, but they are not. They are not. So if you're going to have somebody running point on all of this, it should have been the ambassador to Ukraine. But you got rid of her, a career member of the Foreign Service, who is praised today by both Republicans and Democrats alike, and her colleagues within the State Department, she gets removed, and a political appointee is running frontman in conjunction with Rudy Giuliani, not a member of the federal government, Donald Trump's personal lawyer, and two shady figures who have now been arrested by the FBI, and one of them wants to sing like a canary. Not good, because Donald Trump says, I don't know the guy, even though there's pictures with him, even though there's, I think a few $100,000 that was donated to Donald Trump's campaign on behalf of this gentleman. And of course, Donald Trump takes a lot of pictures. All these politicians do. But Donald Trump likes to point to other pictures as evidence that other people are guilty of certain things. So if you're going to do it that way, let's be fair. Not good. We have David Holmes. Remember, this is the gentleman we were talking about the other day from Ambassador Bill Taylor's testimony that this gentleman, David Holmes, was a staff member for Bill Taylor. And he said that David Holmes overheard a conversation between Ambassador Sondland and Donald Trump in a restaurant in Ukraine, and he could hear clearly Donald Trump's voice and conversation over the phone because Donald Trump is a loud talker, this, that, and the other. You have that individual, David Holmes, who testified this evening behind closed doors. You have somewhat of a leak of his opening remarks. I'm going to wait till the real transcript comes out to go through that, but at least what has been released is not boding too well for Donald Trump, at least not from the standpoint of him being defended by the Republicans, because the Republicans keep moving the goalposts with their defense of Donald Trump. Okay? Their argument was, well, we don't have any first-hand witnesses. Of course you don't, because Donald Trump isn't allowing first-hand witnesses to testify, and they're not doing so. He's not turning over documents that the State Department has to this impeachment inquiry. Although we are now going to get Ambassador Sondland testifying next week. He will be the first-hand witness. Now, of course, you can say this individual, David Holmes, who is a political affairs counselor for the State Department and was serving in Ukraine, what is he? Is he a first-hand witness to this phone call? 1.5. He wasn't on the phone call, but he could overhear it. He's testifying under oath, and that's the other thing. You want to say there's a deep state conspiracy? That's fine. You can believe what you want to believe. There's a whole host of problems. There's no doubt that there's problems in this bureaucracy in this government. No doubt about it. I'm consistent. Lock them all up. Lock them all up. But for the time being, this is everybody going under oath, sort of setting the building blocks against Donald Trump in one form or another. Whether it rises to impeachment or not, there was some funny business going on. This cannot be denied. Okay, this was an action that the president should not have done. I think everybody should be in agreement with this. Asking a foreign government to investigate a political appointee, a political rival, an American citizen. Okay? That should be understood and accepted by everybody, that that's a no-no, shouldn't have done it. Okay, again, does it rise to an impeachable offense? Well, we're finding out. But again, everybody that's laying the groundwork right now is testifying under oath. Everybody that's attempting to defend Donald Trump is not testifying and is not saying anything to his defense under oath. Come on down. Be the next contestant on The Price is Right. Raise your right hand and swear in. They will ask you questions. The Republicans are there. They'll defend you. You can go down there with your attorney. We've seen 3 people testify. They've all had their lawyers with them. So come on down, Mike Pompeo, Rudy Giuliani. Come on down, President Trump. Bring them all down. Rick Perry, Mick Mulvaney. Come on. Come on down with your attorneys. If there's a question that they don't want you answering, they'll tell you don't answer. Come on down. You got exculpatory evidence that can clear this all up? That can stop this circus? Show it. What are you waiting for? This country's on the verge of civil war, riots, recession. Come on. Do something. I don't think he will. Roger Stone, longtime associate of Donald Trump, was found guilty on all counts today, lying to Congress, witness intimidation, and a whole host of other issues. Not good for President Trump. Although Donald Trump did not say, following this verdict today, that he does not know Roger Stone. He didn't come out there and say, I barely know this gentleman, like he did the Ambassador Sondland. No. He claims that he knows him, and that this is hypocrisy. What about Hillary Clinton? What about all these other people, the deep staters, that stuff? So he just, again, keeps circling right back to the whole deep state thing, which, again, folks, does not exonerate. All it shows is somebody else is guilty. Doesn't mean that you're innocent. Both parties can be guilty. I'm of the mindset that both parties are guilty. But we have a rule of law here. We have innocent until proven guilty. But let's come on with the evidence. Come on, let's go. Testify under oath. Let's get this moving. What are you afraid of? So it's not looking good. We're going to find out next week. We got a whole host of people testifying before Congress, before the House Intelligence Committee. We'll see if other transcripts start to come out. Again, Republicans attempting to move the goalposts. It's behind closed doors. Then it's no transcripts. Then the transcripts come out. Then it's not all of the transcripts have come out. And when the public hearing is going to take place, then the public hearings are here. And now it's going attacking the character of these witnesses, saying they're not firsthand. Well, all the firsthand characters are very close to Donald Trump, and they have not been agreeing with the subpoenas, with the exception of Ambassador Sondland, who I'm betting, like I said the other day, is really upset with himself for giving Donald Trump's inaugural committee $1 million. He's probably not too happy about that. He's probably going to be racking up $1 million lawyer fees here pretty quickly, if I had to say so, because he already amended his transcript, his deposition one time. What did David Holmes say that he overheard on that phone call? Because now Gordon Sondland is going to have to be very, very careful about what he says in open hearings next week. Because if he's caught in a lie, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble. And Donald Trump will throw everybody under the bus. Believe me when I tell you. He already claiming that he barely knows the gentleman, meaning Ambassador Gordon Sondland. This is a guy who allegedly had a phone call with him on July 26th, the very next day, wanting to be updated on the progress. And you can find that transcript. It's been released. Again, I don't know its validity because you have members who are saying they can't talk about it, which they're not allowed to when they take place in those closed sessions. But you can find it. It's out there. From what's out there so far, it does not look too good for the president. There's nothing really new or bombshelly, but it looks like Donald Trump is more focused on the investigations and getting President Zelensky and the Ukrainians to announce that they are going after the Bidens more so than what he is with corruption and the overall protection and policy surrounding Ukraine. So it's politics before policy is what it appears. The question is, were they attempting to remove various people to get something done for personal political gain as opposed to the national security of this country? That's the heart of the problem. That's the heart of the question. Because Ambassador Yovanovitch was removed in May. Bill Taylor did not come in until a month later. So what was going on for that month in between? Well, you can speculate. You can use your common sense that Rudy Giuliani, his two associates, and Ambassador Sondland, and perhaps others, maybe even Secretary of Energy Rick Perry, were running around. And what were they doing? And we know people are resigning. We know Ambassador Volker, the former envoy to Ukraine, resigned after his name was noted in the whistleblower complaint. And we know Rick Perry is going to be resigning by the end of the year. And we know the associates of Rudy Giuliani have been arrested by the FBI. They're all going down or they're all leaving. Use your common sense. Innocent until proven guilty. But this was the same common sense. This was the same stuff we were looking at when it came to the Clinton campaign and all that jazz. Get off the partisanship. This republic will not survive with this type of partisanship. Lock them all up. Find truth. Find justice. Have a good weekend. I will not be doing a week ahead segment. I hope to be back Monday, but if not, you will catch me here back on Tuesday. Again, probably not a week ahead segment on Sunday. Hope to be back Monday, but if not, I will be back Tuesday. Again, enjoy your weekend. Stay diversified, stay vigilant, and stay with the Capital News. I am Alex Koritis. Godspeed.